okay, but you realize you kill these things, they're all alive. And shouldn't you feel for them? They're also God's creation. So Jivdaya. And suddenly it became the USP of another set of people who said, yeah, that's true. You should be empathic to other people, you should be empathic for other life. And again, Jainism, as contrasted to this, had removed God as fixation. Remember when the Aryans came, they brought the Greek ideas of gods. Varun is God, sun is God, ocean is God. And when they met with the Dravidian or the first Indians concepts, there were tribal Matajis that looked like tribal women who were the local goddesses. And of course the phallic symbols, you see Dolavera, there are hundreds of phallic symbols. And Rigveda says one should not worship the phallic symbol. Over the next 1,000 years, Hinduism adopted phallic symbols. Shiva became a big god. Hinduism adopted a lot of other ideas. They brought empathy, said, okay, we will be empathic, don't leave us. We will become vegetarian, don't leave us. In another 1,000 years, by that time, remember in the early part of the previous millennium, Bimbisar, Ashoka, everybody had gone into Buddhism. The Sanatan backlash began and ended around 800 with Adi Shankaracharya, that claimed vegetarianism, empathy, all of that as dogmas. And Buddhism went into a exile and Hinduism kind of asserted itself. But when they had arrived with their set of gods, they basically over the thousands of years absorbed other principles and became a much more larger inclusive religion. Again, the genetic data, this kind of supports this. This is very interesting, and this is probably the last point he makes. Chinese type languages, genetics and Northeast, last 4,000 year story. So Austro-Asiatic languages follow land route to India 2,000 years ago. Harappa was ending at this time. South has heavy male chromosome. What does it mean? For work from China, from wherever. And they came into northeast of India, and all of the women they mated with, the subsequent progeny has the Chinese Y genome. But the mother's genome is the genome that came from Africa. Very clear evidence that these were workers who came, found mates, married, and unlike the Aryan conquerors who, when they mated, they might have killed the male persons of the preceding race. These people were simply came and found their mates. But the fact is that the local women carry the maternal DNA, but the Y chromosomes are all from way up there in China. Southeast Asia connection is lost in mDNA, which means mothers were of Indian origin. And the other thing is that wherever these kind of things happened, they also brought rice farming. Rice was unknown to this area. So there's migrations that came with the Y chromosome that arrived 4,000 years ago. Two different kinds of rice came, the Indica variety and the Japonica variety. And the rice cultivation is tied up with the migration that came from China. So this is that migration. Basically went, and that migration also went to Asia Pacific Islands, so there is similar languages and genetics there, and of course came into India. So Tibet, Burma, Northeast, Assam, a little bit of Bengal as the genomic signature of the Chinese races. The last chapter he touches is a pizza. And he says how we are all made. So he says the first Indians who arrived 75,000 years ago make the base. Everybody has that base. Sauce were Harappans, they spread all over, north and south. But they are the sauce. Cheese are the Aryans, they are sprinkled on top over the entire pizza because you really can't have spots without it. And then there were toppings from Austro-Asiatic, Indo-Burman, Greeks, Huns, Sharks, whoever came, they were the toppings. So basically, he says that we are, who are we? We are, of course, we are tasty. Suits many diverse constituents, different things you can add to it. But basically, we still are the same base. We are all Harappans. We are all migrants. We just came in different time caramas. We are even a bit Neanderthal and a wee bit Denisovans. skin color, food, allergies, customs, and by where we were, when we were. For example, if people who went to Europe and Middle South Asia, for 40,000 years ago they stayed there. Their melanin got adjusted to lighter climates, so when they arrived as Aryans, they came with lighter skin. But people who had arrived immediately 65,000 years ago, and were the tribals or South Indians, their skin became darker because sun. You go and sun in Florida for one weekend, your skin tans. So 40,000 years of tanning, you become darker. So it's not that the darker skinned people were different people, they just came at different time. And of course the Kashmiris, if they came from that group, but if they stayed in Kashmir, never had to face our sun, then they remained fair. And Swat Valley in Pakistan, Kashmir in India, they remain as fair as the Europeans because they never had to face what we face here. Food allergies that we brought with ourselves and customs. The book is written like essays, so these are the shortcomings. And by the time got all the awards and everything, he wrote the paperback. The paperback has an epilogue, and then it goes on for pages, and then there's a summary. So, separate from afterthoughts, new data. Actually, for summarizing the slides, summary was very helpful because he does a brilliant job of summarizing his own work. It's just that when you read this book, same data keeps coming back in different areas, and he has a great sense of connecting dots, but he's a poor storyteller. So when you read this book, the story I just told you is not very easy to discern. You kind of say, okay, बात क्या है इसमें? But ये picture तो देखा, लेकिन story क्या थी? Thank you.
Thank you, Divyesh. Wonderful. Your narratives unpacked a rather complex topic, for people like us, the laymen who have no idea. Thank you. The genomics, the nuanced genomics, the way in which your erudite narratives helped us to unpack that, and probably kept us spellbinding. So we are very thankful to you. And it's not just the Tony Joseph, but you are also very good at connecting the dots. The way you synthesize the whole concept, and mind of a lekhakar like me also, who is having no idea about genomics, is something which speaks volumes of your competent presentation. So, I'm very thankful for that. Today, unfortunately, we don't have that stem of flower gone out of that. But may I request his dad a big hug?